Ever feel like you're stuck in a game where the rules keep changing just as you're about to win? The business world can feel like that sometimes, right?
It really can.
But what if I told you the secret weapon to winning this ever-changing game is something we often associate with, well, kids?
Okay, I'm intrigued.
We're diving into the power of play, and I'm not talking about casual Fridays or office ping pong tournaments, though those are fun too.
Right.
We're talking about how approaching challenges with a playful mindset can unlock serious innovation.
Okay.
And to help us unpack this fascinating concept, we're joined by, expert name,
Hi there.
they've helped us dig into some amazing insights from strategist Martin Reeves and his TED Talk,
That's a good one.
along with some additional research on how play can be a legitimate business tool.
It's not just for kids anymore.
Exactly. So Reeves really cuts to the chase in his talk. He says, the half-life of a competitive advantage is now measured in months, not years.
Yeah, that resonated with me.
Like you're not even keeping up anymore. You're constantly having to reinvent everything.
It's true, and it's exhausting, right? Like you no sooner get a handle on the next big thing, and then bam, something else comes along.
Right. So how do we stay ahead of that curve?
Well, that's where the reimagining that Reeves talks about comes in.
Okay.
Businesses can't just keep tweaking old formulas. They need to completely rethink things, find fresh perspectives. And that's where play comes in.
So we're not talking about literally installing a slide in the boardroom, are we?
No, not necessarily. Though it might liven up the meetings.
True, true.
It's more about the mindset, right? When we approach a problem playfully, our brains aren't bound by the pressure of finding the right answer.
It's like we give ourselves permission to be a little silly, a little more experimental.
Exactly. And in that space, we often stumble upon connections that a purely analytical approach would miss. Logic gets you from A to B, but play.
Play is what helps you discover all those amazing letters in between.
You got it.
I've actually experienced this firsthand. I was wrestling with this really tough coding problem a while back.
Oh, yeah.
Stuck for days, banging my head against the
The
wall.
worst.
Then I took a break, played some video games, totally unrelated, and boom, the solution just hit me.
Amazing how that works, right?
It really is. Just shifting your focus, even for a bit, can create the space for those aha moments.
It's not just you. Either there's research to back this up. One study found that even incorporating short bursts of physical activity, like a quick game of ping pong, into the workday led to a significant increase in creative problem solving.
So getting those brains moving, literally and figuratively, right?
Exactly. And it makes you wonder about companies known for embracing play. Like Google's famous 20% time policy is a great example, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. For those unfamiliar, Google encourages their employees to dedicate 20% of their work time to passion projects. Basically anything that sparks their curiosity outside of their regular tasks.
Right. It's about encouraging that spirit of exploration and experimentation.
And it's led to some of their biggest innovations, right? Didn't Gmail come out of that 20% time?
It did. And so did AdSense, which became a huge revenue generator for them.
Wow, so this isn't just some fluffy feel-good idea. It's got real-world impact.
Absolutely. These weren't products of rigid planning, but of giving employees the space to play with ideas they were passionate about.
Okay, so we're definitely seeing a pattern here. But how does this actually play out, no pun intended, for individuals and companies in a more tangible way?
Well, the cool thing is that play's impact goes beyond just sparking that initial aha moment. It actually has a measurable effect on how we learn and our willingness to take risks, which, let's face it, are crucial in today's constantly evolving business landscape.
So we're not just talking about anecdotal evidence here. There's actual data to support this whole play as a performance enhancer thing.
Oh, absolutely. There's this fascinating study where they divided participants into two groups. One group was put in a traditional structured environment, all serious, to work on a problem-solving task.
Gotcha.
The other group tackled the same task, but in a room filled with toys and games, encouraged to take breaks for playful activities.
Okay, I think I can guess which group did better.
You're probably right. The playful group not only came up with more creative solutions, but they also reported higher levels of job satisfaction and felt more connected to their work.
It's like that feeling when you're so engrossed in a game that you forget about everything else and you're just completely absorbed in figuring things out.
Exactly. And it makes sense, right? When we feel safe, not judged, more willing to experiment, we're more likely to take those chances that lead to those big breakthroughs.
Totally. It's like in a playful environment, the stakes feel lower, so we're more open to trying things we might not otherwise.
Right. And it ties back to something really basic about Us humans were driven by this inherent need to explore, to discover.
That joy of discovery like we talked about before.
Exactly. And that gets stifled so easily in a work environment where it's all about hitting targets and meeting deadlines.
Okay, so how do we cultivate that playful environment then? Not every workplace is cool with, like, impromptu games of hide and seek.
Yeah, that's probably true. It's not about literally turning your office into a playground. It's more about those subtle shifts in mindset and leadership that we talked about.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. One of the big takeaways from Reeves' talk was that leaders need to embody this playfulness themselves. Lead by example.
Okay.
So it's about fostering a culture where it's okay to ask what-if questions, even if they sound a little crazy at first.
Right, like no idea is a bad idea.
Exactly. And it's about brainstorming without shooting down ideas before they've even had a chance to breathe.
And maybe even injecting a bit of humor into the day-to-day.
Exactly. Lighten the mood.
I bet that can be a tough transition, though, especially for leaders in more traditional, hierarchical companies.
It can be a challenge, for sure. But the research is clear. Leaders who embrace playfulness, their teams aren't just happier, they're more innovative too.
So it's a win-win, really.
It really is. When employees see their leaders taking risks, admitting mistakes, not taking themselves too seriously, it has this ripple effect.
Like, it gives everyone permission to be a little less uptight, a little more open to the unexpected.
And that's where the magic happens, right? Think about it. Some of the biggest innovations throughout history came from happy accidents, from people just messing around and stumbling upon something amazing.
Like penicillin, wasn't that a total fluke?
Exactly. Just imagine how many game-changing ideas we might be missing out on because we're too afraid to color outside the lines.
Like almost like we've forgotten how to play as adults.
In a way, yeah. And relearning that, bringing that sense of playfulness back into our work, that's what can unlock those really groundbreaking solutions.
I like the sound of that. But I imagine some folks listening might be thinking, this is all well and good, but how do I actually put this into practice? It feels like a pretty big shift.
It is a shift, for sure.
Mm.
But it doesn't have to be this monumental overnight thing.
So baby steps.
Exactly. Even small changes can have a big impact.
So where do we start? What are some small practical steps we can take to inject a little more play into our work lives?
Well, a good place to begin is just by paying attention to where play already exists or where it's missing in your own workday.
Okay, I see. Like an audit of play.
Exactly. So are there meetings that always feel super tense, where maybe a little humor could help lighten the mood and get those creative juices flowing?
Yeah, I think we've all been in those.
Right. Or how about brainstorming sessions? Could you experiment with a less structured, more playful approach?
Get everyone thinking outside the box, literally.
Exactly. And even something as simple as making sure you're taking regular breaks to do something you genuinely enjoy.
Yeah, like stepping away from the desk, moving around, having some fun.
It can make a huge difference. Gives your brain a chance to reset, recharge, and be more open to those aha moments.
So it's about intentionally carving out space for play, both mentally and in our schedules.
Precisely. And for anyone in a leadership role, remember, actions speak louder than words.
So it's not enough to just talk about the importance of play. You have to actually embody it.
Exactly. When you model that playfulness, that vulnerability, that willingness to try new things, and maybe even fail sometimes.
It gives everyone else permission to do the same.
Exactly. And that's how you create a truly innovative culture.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I know I'm walking away with a whole new appreciation for the power of play, and not just when it comes to, like, building Lego masterpieces with my kids.
Me too. It's a good reminder that sometimes the most brilliant solutions come from the most unexpected places.
And that sometimes we need to loosen up, embrace a little playfulness to unlock our full potential.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as you go about your week, I challenge you to keep this question in mind. What could you achieve if you invited a little more play into your work and your life? Because who knows, your next big breakthrough might be just a game away.
Love that.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay playful, and keep those innovative sparks flying.